Hi guys, Adventurous Allotment here. I'm on my allotment. It is December the 20th today, and this is the state of the allotment at the moment. We've got various plants still looking okay. I'll do a very quick video, just a little tour around to show you how things are going at this moment in time. So without any further ado, this is the Chilean guava, Ugni Moline, which is in its winter phase. It's healthy enough, there hasn't been any frost yet to damage the tips, so you can see there the end growth is coming through. It's still growing, of course, because they do like the cold conditions. And then you've got the likes of the pomegranate, which don't really do anything, but it is growing. It's growing quite big. It's about my height almost now, so it's really going for it, but there's no flowers, so nothing yet. But it's got it is the Nana variety. I think I found out it's the Nana variety, so it will never produce full-size pomegranates anyway, because it's a miniature variety, and I'm not entirely sure Nana is edible. It's more an ornamental variety, but you can see from the mild weather we've been having, the usual case of the leaves are trying to grow back in some parts. And then, apart from the panel there on the floor, that was a greenhouse. You can see it's missing a pane. All the wind has taken its toll recently, unfortunately. So just in front of that pane of window glass, there's, or should I say plastic, there's the Azores blueberry, which is looking very healthy at the time of year. Evergreen, of course, if you live in a frost-free climate. Otherwise, it does turn a shade of red when it gets cold. Quite nice, and it's got a nice looking foliage in the winter, although it hasn't got to that stage yet because we haven't been cold enough. There are a few yellow leaves, but they're just mature leaves that tend to die off as it gets older, as with many plants. And actually with this one, you can see there's still flowers. They don't have the pink blush that they have in the spring when there's a lot more warmth, but they are flowering, and there's plenty on there, but they seem to have fallen off without producing fruit, which is interesting as well. The winter ones do not produce fruit, and I think that's more because there's no pollinators here to do the pollination work, and that's why that is. But it's nice to see the flowers in winter. Moving along past that is the pineapple guava nodes back up, because you can see the whole plant. It's done well this year. It's looking good. Usually by this time of year, it's starting to flag a bit. It's looking a bit tired, even though it does retain its leaves. Obviously it is an evergreen, but it does tend to look a bit tired. But it's looking very, very happy. It suggests with its upright vertical columnar the branches, the twigs there, that it's still actually growing. I've got plenty of fruit on this, but they're only small. So for example, there's plenty. There's like this, where there's some there. They're only small fruit, but there's a load of them, and my presumption is that these will continue to grow as long as we don't get a frost. Very unlikely we won't get a frost soon, but I've had these grow into January actually, the fruit, so it's very possible that'll happen this time around, because we don't, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any frost forecast this side of the year. So, and also even more interesting is still flower buds are forming on this plant, so as long as we don't get frost, they'll continue to form fruit, and it would be very novel to have some spring fruit. Just the first time. It doesn't happen very often. I don't think it happens in its native habitat either. I think it's just because our climate is so cool, and at the moment it's so stable, and they just feel comfortable flowering. Yeah, so that's the pineapple guava. Very good. It's looking nice. Happy with that this year. I won't go into much detail on the strawberry tree, but you can see it there. It's got its usual flowering panicles. Looking good. And then if I go down here, this is the Capsicum flexuosum. Just blend in. I'll try and find a bit of a better. You can see it there. It's still got some berries on, orange fruit there. It's lost a few of its leaves. I've got one at home actually that looks fantastic, like really, really good. Vibrant leaves and big leaves and shiny leaves. Nothing like this. This looks ill in comparison, but it's doing well. It's holding on to some leaves, so it's okay. You would expect such a plant from a tropical sort of background, which this one's from Brazil, for example, northern Argentina. You'd expect it to sort of look a bit worse, but yeah, it's not bad. And then I've got the herbs and stuff there. A peach tree, a cherry tree, it's all dormant at the moment. I'm not really going to cover that because there's nothing of interest. And I'll quickly do the ornamental plants. Here, I'll do the ornamental plants now. So we've got the cordyline growing back. We've got this interesting Metrosideros umbellata, which is performing really well. Given that we haven't had any frost yet, that's that one in front. Like they are a bit tender. They don't do well in hard frosts. It kills. I've had some of the plant damage by frost in the last few years, but this one tends to. This year it's good so far. That's not to say it won't. But these early winters being mild help a lot of things, because if things get damaged too early, it leaves them susceptible for the rest of the winter, and that's no good really. So to have it this early winter in a good way is better. If we get a cold spell later on, things are dormant, it's not so bad. But the banana as well, still not fully dormant. You can see that they are growing back, but it's very slow. These, like the new growth here, it's very slow, but they are growing back. And it did get a little bit of leaf damage from the very mild frost we had about a month ago. But as you can see, it's fine at the moment. Not unusual to have bananas in December though that are not affected, because that's the weather patterns recently. They don't really hit us till later on in the winter or even the spring. Then the Brugmansia here, it lost again. That frost that we had, it pretty much damaged the leaves, but it didn't knock it out. Those stems are still viable for regrowth, so lower down maybe. But you can see as well, that's exactly what's happening. You can see the little lower down growth on the bottom there, so it's growing back despite the fact that it was hit by the frost. And then we've got the Tetrapanax in the background there. Didn't really get hit by the frost, but they're looking a bit unhappy, but they're not. I don't know what's happened there. But yeah, they're okay. They'll be fine. And then some Aspidistra in the background there, which is looking happy, and the palms and everything else. And Bilbergian Nuttons here, the bromeliad from Brazil, looking good. Quite a hardy bromeliad, not as hardy as Fascicular bicolor, which is there, but this one is quite hardy to about, say, -8. Bit less here because of the wet soil, probably about -5 or -4, but it's done well so far this winter. Moving on to the last bit I'll show, because I don't want to drag this video on too much. But I've got some. This is the Luma apiculata, of course, the Chilean myrtle, which is it's getting a fair size now. Eventually I want to keep this down to size, so I will sort of shape it, make it look neat to a certain extent. Well, but we've got some berries here. Even in winter there's loads of ripe berries, and I'll take some of these now actually, because some of them aren't exactly ripe yet. You can see the red, they're a bit red coloured. That's a sign that they're not ripe, but there's plenty, and there's still some flowering last time I checked. I think that flowering's gone, but there's quite a bit of flowering on. So as long as the cold stays away, as I keep saying, this will continue producing fruit throughout the winter. But yeah, it's nice to see that there's some ripe berries on this. And they've been left, I think, so they might be a bit sweeter than they usually are. And then all there is to look at now is the tea plants. Here, the tea. There's one over there and one here, and that one that looks diseased is an avocado. Avocados do not like wet soil, so it doesn't look happy. But yeah, it's just a little trial experiment. I got loads of seeds, so I germinated them to see what would happen. But yeah, that's the allotment. Not looking bad in December. Pretty par for the course in the last few years, so other than last year maybe. It's normally like this in December. We'll have to see what happens into spring. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll be back with an update soon.